Have you ever had a book report or class that you had to read the Iliad or Odyssey? Have you ever had to read the writings of Aristotle or Plato? Haven't you ever wondered where we get those writings from and how we know they actually wrote them? Well, the earliest manuscripts we have of Aristotle's writings, let's say, are over 1,000 years after when they were actually written. Aristotle lived way before the manuscripts that we actually have of his writings. Well, the New Testament reliability, that's what we're going to be talking about today. When we look at the reliability of the New Testament, we all wonder, is it accurate to what it actually was written by all the way in the first century? Is it accurate to the events that were purported to be written in it? Well, we look at what we have. In recent history, we've been able to find a lot of manuscripts of the Bible. We have over 5,800 manuscripts of the New Testament alone. Whereas if you look at the writings of Homer with the Iliad, only 500. And we all know Homer wrote the Iliad, right? But yet people somehow have questions about who wrote the New Testament. We have 57 or 5,800 manuscripts of the New Testament. And we have the titles of the authors who wrote them. We also have the historical evidence of secular scholars who purported these instances of Jesus being alive and Jesus doing these amazing things that he did. So we have people who don't believe in Christianity talking about it in the first century. And then we have all these manuscripts. And they're spread all throughout Europe, all throughout Asia, all throughout Northern Africa. If you're to say that anything is messed up within the translations or in the accuracy of the documents, well, you would have to go around all over Europe, all over Asia, all over Africa, change all those manuscripts to say that the Bible is messed up or corrupted. We don't know what it says today. We hear a lot of people saying that, but have we really looked into the evidence and really tried to see what is behind all this? Because we all know Aristotle was a real person and that he wrote the things we read today in our history classes. We all know that Plato was a follower of philosophy, all this stuff in the Greco-Roman era. We all know this, but yet we seem to question the Bible and the reliability of the New Testament when we have fragments that go all the way back to the very, very early 2nd century. That's within 100 years of them being written, whereas Aristotle's, like I said, was over 1,000 after he actually wrote them. So when you think about it, next time you get an assignment maybe about writing about philosophy, about Aristotle, or having to read the Odyssey or the Iliad, you know those things were written, and you know who wrote them. So you know it's reliable to know who wrote the New Testament. We know who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We know who wrote the Pauline epistles. Paul wrote them. We know these things, and there's no reason to doubt them because we have the evidence that is just piling up in front of us. We have scholars that you don't even believe in Christianity that agree with these things. And on another note, the accuracy of what we have written down is up to 99.5% accurate to the original copies. Now, we don't have the original copies of the New Testament, but that's actually a good thing. We can see it as some sort of a miracle that God did this. Because if we did have the original copies of the New Testament, then that would make it so some people could mess with them. And then we would see that they were corrupted. But since we have 5,800, more than thousands of manuscripts that we have, we see that they all agree with each other. There's no theological differences. There's just small spelling errors, just missing punctuation, missing a letter, missing a word here and there. We see it across the board accurate. So next time you think, is this accurate? It's accurate. The New Testament is accurate, and you can believe that it is written and the time it was written and what it says is true. And you can have your faith strengthened by this evidence today.